I can rope as good as I ever have, but it's one of those deals that if you're not out in front of the people and the public eye, it don't take long in the rodeo business. People forgets about you.
This is Season 3 of The Score, the Team Roping Journal's regular podcast, where the team roping world talks. We've told the stories of some of the greatest cowboys, horses, and moments in the sport, and we're so far from done. In 2020, we'll bring you more of what you've come to expect, like interviews with the best cowboys and cowgirls we know, and we'll dive even deeper into subjects you care about. Look for more audio editions of the Team Roping Journal stories you might have missed in print, and learn about the great horses shaping the sport and great challenges facing our industry. All this and more in 2020. I'm Chelsea Shaffer. Rich Skelton texted me the other day to let me know he'd be at my neighbor's house, that's Dr. Jason Stonebeck and his wife Jen, for one of his elite healers-only schools. I love when Rich comes to town because we usually catch him eating a ribeye at the Pepper Pod, our favorite local steakhouse, and we get a good visit in. This time, though, I caught up with Rich on the Stonebeck's front porch after he'd spent 2 days in the 90-plus degree heat helping healers elevate their roping on the bones, on the Heelmatic, and on live steers. Fresh on his mind after all that was what everyday ropers can do to hone their craft, and I got to ask him questions about his career I never asked in our decade-long friendship. Rich's 8 world titles have absolutely made him a legend, but to me, it's his accessibility to the everyday roper that's made him stand out among Hall of Famers. This conversation is one I've wanted to bring you for a while, and I'm really glad you're here to listen. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Score, brought to you by Heelmatic Training Systems. Our guest today is Rich Skelton, and his mantra, the core of what made him an 8-time world champion, is perfect practice. His sponsors at Heelmatic, then, are the perfect fit for that program. Heelmatic has led the industry in innovation that's backed by science and proven results for years, and I'll tell you more about them on our commercial break. Well, hi.
How's it going?
Good. We've never done one of these, so it's always fun to do one for the first time with somebody.
Right.
We are in beautiful Fort Lupton, Colorado right now. You come through here quite a bit. You come through Colorado quite a bit and stay.
Stay here a lot. I stayed with the Ellermans for a long time, and now I stay up here with Jason and Jen Stonebeck, so
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a nice place. And it's 100 degrees today, and you just had a roping school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. That's a big part of what you're doing right now is a lot of schools.
Doing a lot of schools. The cool thing is I'm doing a healers only tour. Like Randy Bloomer helped me with one a few years ago, and we give a trailer away. And next year, in April, if you attend the school, we're going to be able to put in. We're giving a truck away, Ford F-250.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, I feel like doing a lot of schools puts you a little bit more on ground level of the roping community too. Like you'll see a lot more of what's actually going on in roping and what people are struggling with and all that.
Exactly. And then I tell you what, where I've learned a lot too is my daughter and everybody roping and having kids come over and go to some. I went to some ropings with her. I went to a couple 12 ropings and things like that I never actually seen. And it's been pretty interesting. Yeah,
pretty different to experience it from that side of it. What is the biggest thing that you end up working on in your schools, or like the biggest challenge you see people having?
To me, the biggest challenge is horsemanship. I know I had to start working on my horsemanship a few years ago, 10 or 15 years ago. I've got to do a lot of clinics and be around Chris Cox a lot. I'm very fortunate because he helps me a lot with my horsemanship. We do the one school a year, the Team Rope and Horsemanship Clinic. It works really good. One of those deals where it's very interesting. It's not everybody when they get on their horse. First thing they want to think about is the rope, and it's not the rope that you got to ride and rope, and it's when you put it all together, it's pretty interesting.
And when you say horsemanship, like what are people not balanced in the saddle? Are they using too much of their hands? Like, what are some things that you see people really doing wrong when it comes to horses?
Well, to me, it's like all the horses pull on them. And I don't care who you are. when a horse pulls on you and you can't follow through, and when you can't follow through, it'll work really good. Like you'll be at a roping and you'll see some young kid, he'll rope one, get close, pull off, throw, and he'll catch. The crowd will go wild. But I'm just very old school about everything. I'd just soon put my money on Clay Cooper. When he comes around there, he's over the steer, place his rope, going to rope the steer. His horse is helping him.
Yeah.
And it's a new era nowadays. Like we had to learn. There's two things to me that's so huge about the horsemanship and roping part of it has changed. Like me, it's one of those deals that nowadays. I learned to rope 10 steers in a row by 2 feet. Nowadays, it seems like they learn to rope fast before they ever learn how to catch, very many in a row.
Now, you mentioned old school and how you learned to rope. Tell me, how did you grow up? Where was your arena? Who taught you how to rope? How did that?
I grew up in Electra, Texas. There was a good friend of mine named Gary Jacobs, helped me a lot. He roped really good, and then he still ropes good today, and he's 70-something years old. He trained a lot of horses. There was a lot of people. Bill Pogue helped me a lot with my roping. Charles Pogue's dad. And I kind of roped good enough just to figure out that I didn't rope good enough. So I had to go back and change everything. And that's when Bill helped me a lot with my horsemanship, my roping. And when I left that year, I made the finals. But I stayed there with them for 3 or 4 months. I'd get up in the morning, rope the sawhorse for an hour and a half. I'd rope the sled, and then I'd rope steers. And we had like an old school sled. It's not like the Heelomatics and things we have nowadays.
Yeah. Bill Pogue, did he rope left-handed?
Yes, he roped left-handed.
So. Yeah.
And I actually rode, the first time I made the NFR, I rode his horse at the NFR.
A left-handed horse?
Left-handed horse.
Really?
Actually, Ricky Green won the average on that horse.
What was that horse's name?
Roney was his name. He's a roan horse.
So. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Was he any different at all being a left-handed horse?
No, it actually worked really good because I could ride all of Bill's horses because they got down the arena good enough. And to me, my whole career, my weakness has been riding my horses down the arena. So it's all about, and his horses would get down the arena because he'd have to be past the steers and they'd square up to be left-handed. And I roped really good on his horses.
That's cool. So when you said your weakness, would you have a tendency to just back off and?
I just did not ride my horse down the arena. I didn't. My whole career, Speedy always gave me a heck about it because I don't use my legs very good. And that's one thing. The older I've gotten, talking about the horsemanship, I've had to work on because my horses aren't as good. I wouldn't say they aren't as good, but Roney was really fast. All my horses, my whole career has been real fast because they actually did it for me. I didn't have to. If I have to ride and kick, I don't rope very good.
Gotcha. Are you getting better? Is that something you've worked on, or is it something that you've conceded it isn't your deal?
No, I've worked on using my legs. But, talking about our horsemanship part of it, the horses, when they get to pulling on you, and then you got to learn to stop them at the right time. If you stop them, back them up. If you ever throw your rope, it's no good. I mean, that's one thing I learned from Speedy a long time ago. If you ever throw your rope, the horse don't know any difference. So you got to stop them and fix them at the time they're messing up. Whether it's in increments, whether they pull on you when you leave the box, whether they pull on you right before the steer turns, or after going across the arena. You got to pick, and it's not that you really you don't jerk on them, you lift them up, and that's one thing that Chris Cox has helped me with, is shortening my range, lifting the front end, having contact with their mouth, and helping them stop. And people don't really realize when you do that, that transfers into your loop going under the feet, going through. If the horse stops right and you're forward in your saddle, it just sends your loop through there. But if a horse stops with his front end, whatever the horse does is what your loop's going to do.
What your loop does, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
We just did a photo shoot and a video shoot with Caesar and Dakota and Brad Lund, and that was one of the things that both Dakota and Caesar said, is that they were working much more on picking their horses up in the stop than pulling back or, just, I mean, it's a horse show thing as far as the way that those guys show them. Mm-hmm. But it's also, and that was something they all three of them talked about, was how they pick their horses up more so than.
That's, like I say, that's one of the first things Chris Cox has taught me, is how to lift them up and not scare them, in the stop. So, and what a lot of people don't realize is, we bought a young horse 2 or 3 years ago, and Chris went with me when we bought him, and he, if you rope the Hillomatic, and when you rope them, don't let them stop. Like, rope them, keep them moving, keep their front end moving, then they'll figure out how to stop. Most people, to me, they always rope, they want to throw and just dally and stop them. But then their front feet learn how to stick. And if you keep the front feet moving, then they can stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think everybody's working on, especially like lower number guys, middle number guys, working on getting a horse to get in the ground and really stop. Like, that's a point of pride.
Right.
But that can probably also get them in a bind in the end. Yeah.
Well, to me, when I'm talking about my horsemanship, I like to keep them the same all the way through the corner. And a lot of times everybody tries to really make them go fast in there, so they stop hard, and that's good. But to me, that kind of throws me back, and then I don't follow through as good. Mm-hmm. I just like to just keep my horses the same all the way through the turn.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Roni was obviously such a huge part of your career, and so you said he was free and he ran hard. Was that what he did the best, or what made him such an icon?
Well, yes, he could run. He really could run, and he could stop. But the one thing that I had to work on with him all the time is his scoring. Mm-hmm. If he scored good, he was good in the field. But if he didn't score good, then he would pull on me in the corner. So it was like, that's really how I started working on my horsemanship. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a funny story. I've told people at schools, back in when they had the George Strait and roping in Burning, mm-hmm. I had 3 of the best headers of all time. I roped with T. Woolman, Jake Barnes, and Speed. I was clean on all 3 steers the first round, and I missed all 3 the next round and had good chances. And I could tell my roping was gradually falling off. But I didn't know why. So I got home on Monday, and Speedy come over, and there was a boy there lived with me and roped with me. He got on Roni. Speedy did. He didn't take a rope, just got on the saddle and put his hand on the saddle horn, and the steer went down the ring. I'd have given Roni to you if I'd have seen what was fixing to happen. He just went down. He went and turned the muley, and the horse just went straight past the steer. He didn't know there was a steer in Llano County. So that's the day I really started having to work on my horsemanship.
Yeah.
He'd come back and he goes, "There's your problem."
How many world titles had you won at that point?
Probably 4 or 5. Yeah.
That's so funny that you had 4 or 5 world titles before you started working on your horsemanship.
Right. I just, where I would get in trouble is I would rope and I'd work on, like Roni, I'd rope 15, 20 steers over the course of the day, and he'd work good the last 5 steers of the day. Mm-hmm. But he had a big motor, and then the next day, on the first or second one, I'd have to start back over. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't work that good because he was so strong and wanted to run and stuff. And the one thing I learned from T. Woolman is he told me when I moved to Llano, said the first steer of the day is the most important steer. They have to work, on that steer. It sets the mood for everything, So if they don't work there, you can't get off to a good start at the roping, or you drive 8 hours to a rodeo and miss. Mm-hmm. So, I had to get him to start my horsemanship to where he worked on the first steer.
So what did that look like? What was your time in the practice pit? I mean, was it loping a bunch of circles? Was it getting him softer in the bridle?
Both, everything. Mm-hmm. It was like I would, I'd leave the box. I'd walk out with the steers. I'd go with them, and then when they would, like I say, if he got strong right there, I would just stop him, back him up, let him sit there and think about it, and then I would have him turn a muley, and I wouldn't even take my rope. I'd just turn him to the inside, get him to the inside where I could see the feet. The problem is I was getting past the steers and I wasn't seeing the feet. And your horse position creates your body position.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to lean and look, then it changes the angle on your rope,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just a snowball effect.
Now, I think a lot about, like, I'm sure your daughter Rainey loves horses. Like, I love horses. As a girl, as a barrel racer, I love horses.
Right.
But I never think of guys that way. Like, I don't think of, maybe that's just ingrained in me. Do you love working with horses as much as you love roping? Where does the...
Well, I'm a roper. I mean, that's basically, I mean, that's the long and short of it. But the thing about it is horses cost so much nowadays, and it's they're used to you could go buy horses and make horses, and they're even getting hard to find nowadays. Something you can go buy to make a good horse out of, and so one, they're expensive, and two, you can't find them. So you're kind of forced into learning how to maintain them.
Yeah.
And so that's the bottom line there.
Did you, when you had Roni when you were younger and when you were rodeoing, did you, like, do you know so much more now than you did when
He
you were
taught me
winning?
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, like I say, I started learning with him, and then I got Chili Dog, and Chili Dog been roped on, and he'd been ranched on, and he was so he didn't need a lot of because he had more cow to it. Roni had no cow.
Yeah.
He just had a lot of run.
But, like, as far as taking care of one, like, Roni lasted a long time. Like, did you do anything special at that time, or did you luck out on how well he lasted?
You know what? I mean, like, the thing about it is, I was very, well, one thing, he was very tough. He was, I mean, tough. And, like, but, one thing that, it's just like everything else, everything's progressed. The ropes have gotten better. The technology's better. I would go with, like, Dr. Veniclausen in Amarillo. He kept speeds going, my horses going. I still today take my horses to Amarillo to get them shod, 6-hour drive, get them shod, and get on, and he works on them, and I go back home. So I mean, when you find something that works, stick to it.
I'm going to take a minute now to talk about Rich's sponsors at Helomatic Training Systems, who are bringing you this episode today. Helomatic's methods are backed by science and built by experts who pair an understanding of the dynamics of the sport of team roping with the mechanical know-how to produce the industry's leading roping sled. When your time with a rope is limited, whether you're running your own business or managing a growing family, your time in the arena with a rope is precious. The Helomatic maximizes that time by providing a solid, steady practice with proven results. Consistency and a solid plan is the key to success, and the Helomatic is the tool you need to work that perfect practice plan. Visit Helomatic.com to order your sled, your bones, your super slider. They are experiencing some shipping delays because the demand is so high right now for these products. So check out Helomatic.com. Promise you it is worth it. You and Speed, how were the conversations in the rig with Speed? What was as far as talking about roping, how much talking about roping did you guys do in 8 years?
Well, you know what, we didn't really talk about it a lot, but we roped a lot, and one thing Speedy did is he videoed everything, and
still does, right?
Still does
Yeah.
today. So and we would rope, and there'd be a lot of times we'd rope a steer, and we wouldn't. In your mind, you would think it was different than when you get to the truck and watch it. Then you would think about But the one thing that Speedy's done that's so crazy is his horsemanship and stuff was so good. That he's doing the things that I've been working on now. That he did it on his head horses, and he would. The whole people don't really realize head horses are when you get the real horses, they don't. You don't, like, the whole time we roped together, I bet he didn't turn me 25 steers on each horse, on Bobber Viper, fast. I mean, he roped slow, picked up, he went through the motions. He would rope the sled on them. He'd go and stick it on them and slow them down. And the one thing to me that you can really do, we roped a lot of muleys. And the worst thing you can do on a head horse is rope big steers. And so, Speedy spent a lot of time like getting his horses to work before we left home.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys aren't like as intentional about that, about like the specific kind of steers that you have for the specific kind of horses and all that. It's not just, and you talked about that in the last podcast you did for us, was just like regular structuring your practices and making sure your practices are quality.
Right.
So, yeah.
But it's just, it's all about how you set everything up, and that's the bottom line. And the thing about it is when you're 20, 25 years old, you don't really realize that. The older you get, and you learn from your mistakes and and how things has worked.
Are you a short memory kind of guy, or do you have any mistakes that still bug you to this day?
No, not really. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've did everything that I've ever wanted to accomplish with the rope. And nowadays I really enjoy doing the schools and helping like Rainey and all the kids that come over with her, and it's fun. I mean, actually, it's kind of a new take on everything.
How hooked is Rainey on all of it?
You know what? She does really good. I mean, the breakaway, and and everybody knows how good the breakaway is doing right now. To me, it's a perfect time in her career to, because the whole future of their sports is just starting. And and she loves the rope. She's head's good. She heels really good, but we don't really like her dallying. So she mostly heads, but she has a good swing from rope and calves, and everybody thinks that I've helped her a lot. I really hasn't. She's kind of natural with her heeling, just because she has a good calf swing.
That's cool. And the barrel racing, she's still pretty active in the barrel racing too.
She's got a barrel. They actually have a horse that they've had their grandma or mom and now her. So and they've raised them, and she's done. She trained the mare. She's done a good job with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Can you go and sit there all day at a barrel race?
No.
No?
No, I don't do that. I tend to the roping, and Rhonda tends to the barrel racing.
Yeah, still that way.
That's the way that happens.
That's the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's the way it's going to be.
Oh, that's funny. If she wants to go rodeo, what are you gonna tell her about the road? What do you think she's gonna try to go make the NFR? What do you think?
Well, I think if this mare she's only 5 or 6 now. If she stays sound and good, when she gets 18, get old enough to get her permit or card, I think she'd have a chance. But she needs another horse. It's hard to do it in one. So, she's very, very, very competitive. So she's sure to have a good chance if she wants to.
And you'll be 110% behind her, not worrying or...
No, I'd be 100%. I'll help her. I mean, because but the main deal with that is it's, you got to have, it's all got to be set up, structured, and safe.
Yeah. Did you go when you were 18?
Oh, yeah. I'd go to 80, 100 rodeos. People don't really realize, like, in South Texas, you can go to unbelievable amount of rodeos. I went to 80, 100 rodeos when I was 16, 17 years old. But before I ever went to any pro rodeos.
Yeah, sure. Reliance Ranches, I'm sure they might have some fast horses that if she needed a second one, you might be able to come upon one. How did you get set up with the McKinney family? You know
what? I got to know Gary McKinney. He bought one of my places in Llano, and I've known him for 10, 12 years, ever since he bought my first place. And then we come to find out, he lived in Midland, and he has an office now in Austin, so he can stay in Llano. And so they've kind of moved to Llano and started the WCRA, and Bob Moat lives there, and he runs all that. And we just get to rope every day, and it's fun, and everybody gets along good and enjoy it.
Their arena is beautiful. That arena there in Llano, Bob sent me a video once of just the place, and wow, it's pretty.
Very beautiful. It's a very beautiful ranch. They have that, and they have a down in Llano. It's very, very what do you call it? They don't find it very often. There's enough water. They have a pivot out there. There's not that much water around Llano to have a pivot. So they got a hay field. And they got all the race horses that, over the last few years, I have one at the house that I've been heading on, and Rainey taking around the barrels. Her name's Demi Moore. She's a nice mare. Bobby and they have several, and just we're roping on them and getting them new barrels and just doing something besides after they get done, with the racing, give them something else to do.
Do they stay a little freer and fit your style of liking them getting down the arena a little bit more, or you're just heading on them? But they feel pretty free?
Yes, I mean they, the thing about it, it's a different mindset with them that you have to almost spend more time stopping them, because they want to run and they're taught to run into the bridle. So that's the main thing is getting them where they're not really pulling on you, so that's. You spend a lot of time roping this machine, roping slow steers, things like that on them.
I was so excited. The McKinney family, they jumped on board as soon as we decided we were going to do the Team Ropers Breeders Guide for the first time. We've never done one of those before. They jumped on board and put their studs in it, which was cool because, there's lots of cow horse programs that, you would think right away would make sense for that. But I was excited to see them support it because they've got so many cool horses with the ones Trevor has and with the ones Bobby's riding. So.
That arena they have, it's the same. It's just like Trevor's, but it has boards in it. It's exact kind of the same replica.
Yeah, I said I've only seen a video of it, but it looks really pretty. As far as you said, you've done everything you want to do with a rope, or won everything you want to win with a rope. I mean, does that mean if you could try to win the world again, you would, or are you done trying to win the world?
No, I'm not. If the thing about it is nowadays. The crazy thing is I have two really nice horses. I have everything, but it's one of those deals that, I'm either, it would take the stars have to be lined up, get the right partner, get the horses, and it's one of those deals, I'd love to do that. And I'd like to make the NFR again, at least. Used to I was mad if I went in, third or fourth, and nowadays I'd love to make the finals again. One, because I have really good sponsors. Yeah. And they've stuck with me. It's been great. And the other deal, I feel like I owe it to them a little bit to make it again. But the other deal too is it's just that they I would like for my schools and things, you need to be out in front of that public eye to be, if you don't, I think it'd be really good for my schools and things if you're still competitive, and I can rope as good as I ever have, but it's one of those deals that if you're not out in front of the people and the public eye, it don't take long in the rodeo business, people forgets about you.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked Champ a similar question, and he said he kind of him-hawed around about it. But if the stars were aligned with Champ to win an 8th gold buckle, would that be the coolest thing ever, or would you be bummed out that somebody else had 8?
No, that wouldn't bum me out. I mean, the thing about it is, it's the one thing with that deal is I was honored when we won and we was tied with them, and then I was honored, when you actually succeed and beat a record that nobody would ever thought that would ever been beat from them. So but the Champ, if that would be cool. I mean, that would not bother me a lick.
He said on the podcast that it wasn't really in his game plan to go win 8 or go back to the NFR, but I had a bunch of top 10 headers, gold buckle headers, call and say BS. Clay Cooper wants to win number 8. Yeah. So that did make me laugh when everybody called after listening to that episode. Yeah, you and Nick were totally my team there for a couple of years. I thought, in Vegas that was gonna just be awesome. I loved both those buckskin horses you guys rode, and that was sure a lot of fun to watch. You were roping with Nick. The ERA year that you guys did the ERA. Did you learn anything that year about the sport of rodeo and about?
Well, to me, that year, but to me, it kind of drew a line in the sand for older people and younger people. To me, if you're, after you've rodeoed as long as I have, and Jake and Clay and T and everybody, we've all, it's like, the ERA was not for everybody. It was, for more, to me, it's more for guys that was later on that didn't want to rodeo and go to 100 rodeos. You could go to 30 rodeos and still make a living. And with the kids that, and I remember Jake Long, he never won a championship. And, he wanted to rodeo and win a championship. So the goals are completely different, and you can understand that, because I was like, I remember when I never won one, I got up every morning. That's all I thought about was what I'm going to do today to fulfill that dream. And when somebody that ropes that good, and I could see why they wouldn't want to do the ERA, and I could see why we would.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it seems like the WCRA is working out as a wonderful compromise to that whole program right now. It seems like it's been great.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, the one thing about the WCRA is they're starting to do things for kids, and they're starting to do things, for everybody. And they started the all-girl deal in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
So it's like, they're trying to do as good, and for, where you could either go to the Paris City Rodeos too, or you could go to the WCRA and kind of work it all in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a good family deal too.
Yeah.
Like for me and Rainey, Rainey wants to go, or it works good for everybody.
It would be cool if she made that women's world championship. That would be a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is she gonna try? Do you think in the breakaway and is she gonna try in multiple events to
Oh
nominate?
yeah, they nominate all the time. Like they go to barrel races and things like that, and they I think she'll try to do both.
Very cool. That'll be fun. We'll have to. Very good. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much.
You betcha. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you all for listening to our episode with Rich Skelton today, brought to you by Helomatic Training Systems. Remember, helomatic.com. Get your order in now, and you will have perfect practice in the coming weeks.